Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Zwift Fitness Journey. Today I'm going to ride around Innsbruck, quick lap. So, as has been the case all week, and will be continue to be the case through the first half of next week, through at least the first couple of rides, just too busy. Honestly, I really shouldn't be taking the time to do this, but honestly, I also know and understand myself enough that if I don't at least put in a short ride, I'm going to be in a whole heck of a lot of trouble later on trying to restart a routine that's suddenly been broken. I missed one day a few weeks back for circumstances, and similar to kind of the circumstances I've had all week here. Just finding a way to make it work is a lot better, even if it's a short ride, than not doing it at all. So here we are. I'm going to push through one quick lap. But in the meantime, we're going to be talking about movie franchises. So, getting into some of my favorites. Quick discussion on some of them, but this is also going to be the next little mini-series as we just kind of went through a few episodes of 4 episodes on sports. So, let's talk about movie franchises. Maybe individuals after that. We'll see if this one takes off a little better than the sports discussion did. Alright, let's get to it. For my discussion on my favorite movie franchises, what better place to start than the 13 highest grossing movie franchises of all time? So with that, let's begin with number 13, Pirates of the Caribbean at $4.52 billion. Yeah, billion. That's a lot of money. And that's just number 13. Anyway, Pirates of the Caribbean, I really enjoyed the first movie. And then I kind of enjoyed the second one. And then with the third, and then I don't even know where they're at now. 6? I only know that because it's on the screen in front of me. I don't even think I've seen the last 2. Possibly the last 3. Because been there, done that after the first. I thought it was pretty iconic with Johnny Depp stepping off the boat as it sinks at the very, very beginning. That was a nice opening scene. But even that first film, with age, has not worn that well on me just in time. It's a little too campy, cheesy. I just not buying it. At number 12, Transformers, $4.86 billion. This is another one. Started well, faded quickly, got worse in time. Haven't seen the recent ones. Enjoyed the first, but then there was complications in terms of a couple of the actors involved were absolutely not good people. Difficult to work with for their colleagues, so on and so forth. That's a contributing factor, but it was the same concept. Now, as a kid, I loved Transformers, and I was a big fan. I had plenty of the action figures that were Transformers, a few at least, anyway. And certainly enjoyed the series. And so, the first one resonated well with me, but in time, I don't know. It again, got old. They seem to milk it too far. And this might be a common theme as we go through this list. And at number 11, we have Batman, $4.9 billion. They are counting all 11 that they've had thus far. So the original Michael Keaton trilogy, we have, and Clooney wrapping that one up, Christian Bale trilogy, and then Ben Affleck, and so on and so forth. 4.9 across that whole grouping, and I don't know if I would necessarily lump them all together in discussion about them. I'm a huge Tim Burton fan, and the first Batman with Michael Keaton was amazing and a game changer for superheroes in cinema. I really, really liked not Christian Bale's performance as Batman, but I liked, in general, that trilogy, at least the first 2 anyway. I wasn't much of a fan of the third one, but 3 of all of those Batmans I've been massive fans of, and as mentioned in a previous episode, I'm definitely a fan of where they helped bring comic books into cinema overall, and so the impact of them has been great.
the recent ones, the DC franchise stuff that we've been seeing, the Ben Affleck stuff, awful portrayals, and I'm not at all a fan. I think they are just horrendously bad. At number 10, we have Jurassic Park, 4.99 billion, just right there on the edge. The original Jurassic Park back in 93 it's a classic. It's fantastic. It is very, very good. And then that's it. That is absolutely it for me. I despise the rest of them. No, wait, you know what? Honestly, I can't say that. That's too strong of language. I do not like them to the point that I've seen none of the recent ones. None of them. So, I suppose we're starting to see a common theme where I get over it and just move on with my life with so many of these large franchises that just milk things and take them a bit too far. But also, a trending theme here of I just don't see as much TV as I used to, and so there's recent stuff where I have to pick and choose, and these old overworked franchises just don't do it for me. Number 9, the DC Extended Universe. Of course, I suppose you can say minus Batman, but I'm guessing they might be overlapping some of that anyway. 5.6 billion. Most of them have been pretty poor. Won't lie, I do not think that they have done a terribly good job with these films. I have not seen them all, though, so there could be exceptions. I would like to see the new Wonder Woman. Have not seen that yet, but I did really like the first Wonder Woman, and I think that's been the best piece of the DC Extended Universe. I'm a bit behind I'll give a few of those films a chance, because I am a fan of comics and turned into, the cinematic universes of these, but I don't think DC's done a terribly good job with these. Shazam was pretty good. The recent Shazam, not the original Shaquille O'Neal one. That was pretty bad. And at number 8, we have Middle-earth, $5.86 billion. And this one, of course, has the 2 separate trilogies of The Lord of the Rings, and then later on the prequel trilogy in The Hobbit. Now, while The Hobbit was less than perfect, it was still fairly good. But the Lord of the Rings trilogy might arguably be my favorite. We'll see. I'm going to have a couple more episodes discussing film franchises and specific films, and I will absolutely have an episode on the world of Tolkien. In at number 7 is The Fast and the Furious with 5.9 billion. I find it absolutely deplorable that The Fast and the Furious could ever appear on a list ahead of The Lord of the Rings. Disgusting. Worst movie franchise ever. Without a doubt. First film, okay. It got a sequel? Seriously? Okay. The third one, if they would have stopped there, it would have just been a decent little cash cow, and it would have been a tolerable thing. And the idea, the concept, the first time worked, and it was an okay movie. But then how they have somehow just kept milking this thing. This is the fattest cow on the planet. That being The Fast and the Furious. That being I am so furious on how stupid and how fast these films keep coming out. I'm absolutely passionate about how much I despise The Fast and the Furious. There is literally nothing left for them to do that they haven't done already. There's no more surprises. It's all repeat, and it's just atrocious. I can't use enough adjectives to despise my disgust for The Fast and the Furious. And at number 6 is the X-Men franchise, 6.03 billion. Loved this franchise. But also, like the trending theme, I am over it. I am done. I have moved on. They've milked it. They've taken it too far. I would not mind seeing a total reset getting rid of the old actors and starting anew and completely disconnecting from previous X-Men, I'd be happy to check that out. And in ways they've done that, but they've done that with new characters, or characters that exist in the comics that have never appeared in the cinematic universe, and that just doesn't do it. You have to have the iconic characters, just whole new actors and new concept and new theme, and maybe I'd be up for that one again. Apparently they're counting the Deadpool films in the X-Men universe, in which case, yes, Deadpool is pretty awesome. Not a fan of Wolverine as a character. That's so my best friend and I, growing up, get along, but we also have our own rivalries. And one of our rivalries was within X-Men, where I was a Cyclops fan, he was a Wolverine fan, and so he didn't like Cyclops, I didn't like Wolverine. And then we kind of just liked all the other main characters equally, but we both had our fandom, and we'd always have our little mini arguments on which one would beat which one. And of course, in the cinematic universe, it's Wolverine who had the biggest, greatest actor of the bunch, and so Wolverine ended up stealing all the scenes as the franchise went on. But of course, the leader, and hence my fandom for Cyclops, the leader of the group was Cyclops, but he's kind of faded in the cinematic universe, as they had a couple weaker actor portrayals of the character, and that just kind of took them out of their top spot. In fact, the movie poster on the page that I'm looking at doesn't even include Cyclops on it, and guess who's front and center with their adamantium claws extended. Anyway, at number 5, we have the Spider-Man franchise, $6.35 billion. This was another one that has milked way too far. Tobey Maguire in the first couple was pretty dang cool, and I really enjoyed those. Haven't even seen majority of the new ones, or I've only seen bits and pieces of them, and that's not normal for me. I don't see bits and pieces of movies, but it's too much hit, repeat, and resend, and over again, the same thing. I will throw in, though, that the Into the Spider-Verse, badass. Really liked Into the Spider-Verse. In at number 4, we have James Bond, $6.89 billion and 24 films. Now, of course, in terms of box office, those older movies aren't going to have brought in as much, but globally, this is a massive franchise. This is also a franchise where, for me, at my age, it was the Pierce Brosnan era as James Bond that I first was introduced to. It was the GoldenEye game on the, was that the SNES? That I played plenty of, my first real first-person shooter experience. The Daniel Craig ones, haven't seen many of them. For one thing, my wife is of the opinion that James Bond franchise is a big hell no, and so she's never wanted to watch any, and we do our watching of films together 99.9% of the time, and therefore I haven't seen any James Bond for a decade. That being said, hit and miss for me. Some good, some bad. 24 is just too damn much, and so it is iconic. It's an iconic character, and I get it, and I get the fandom, and I have definitely liked some of it, including some of the older ones. And if I were to put all of the actors head to head, I think there's no better actor in the bunch, and then therefore portrayal of James Bond that's better than Sean Connery. And at number 3, we have the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and the other subsequent prequel movies. $9.18 billion there. Big Harry Potter fan. Even as an adult, the books were enjoyable to read. In some of the younger classrooms that I've had, it's been a great thing to have discussions regarding Harry Potter, and I think they are so well written. Big fan of what we got out of that. Now, the prequel stuff, yeah, it's not quite as good as the original 8-film franchise, but still, good stuff. At number 2, and surprising that it is just number 2 on this list, we have Star Wars in at $10.2 billion. Holy cow. Well, I was too young for the original trilogy, at least to attend in theater anyway, as, well, the first one was before I was even born. But when I was eventually introduced to them, I was an instant fan, massive fan, love Star Wars, and unlike so many others who have whined and complained for one reason or another, I have not betrayed my fandom. I am still very much a fan, even the recent trilogy. I've enjoyed all of them. And then, of course, there's all the additional stuff. The Mandalorian, the standalone films, the Clone Wars, all of those additional things. My wife and I both have enjoyed them. Her and I both have quite a few Star Wars memorabilia kind of things, t-shirts, Grogu / Baby Yoda. I'm still a big fan. I'm still a big Star Wars fan, and I'm so glad for what it has brought to sci-fi and fantasy out there. And in at number 1, more than doubling Star Wars as a franchise, but also something that I am quite a fan of, and that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which has just brought in a crap ton of money at $22.59 billion. 23 movies released in just 12 years. But I think timing's a big thing here. Highest grossing film of all time was Avengers Endgame. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has barely gone wrong. They have hardly put a foot wrong, and that is why they've gone so strong in such a short period of time. They've also added in at least 10 television shows affiliated with the main universe. I don't know how many of those are cartoonish. There's got to be some, but it is growing rapidly, and the webbing that keeps it all connected, I think, is fantastic. And how you watch this to get a piece of that, to get a piece of this, to get a piece of that, and that goes right along with one of my other topics momentarily, my favorite book franchise of all time, The Dark Tower by Stephen King, where that and virtually everything, not everything, but virtually close to it, everything he's ever written is got little teasers, little hints, little interconnected pieces, and I love that. I absolutely love seeing the big picture in a smaller picture, and that was something that I specialized in as a teacher, as a history teacher, making those big connections, connecting those dots, and not just going through isolated moments one after another in the classroom. And it was something that worked really well with a lot of my kids too, because once you start seeing the big picture and how things are connected to one another, what a massive difference it makes for you. And I think that's one of the main reasons why the Marvel Cinematic Universe is number 1 on this list. Now that we've got those 13 out of the way, let me throw in a few quick honorable mentions. I'm going to start with my few Godfather. I know it's a fan favorite, but I just never could get into The Godfather. Star Trek, almost on the favorites list for me, but there's a little bit in the hit and miss. My last couple of favorites that weren't already on that list of top 13 highest grossing, and those are Back to the Future and the Indiana Jones.
Hey, Decathlon Gamer, thanks for tuning in. Also, if you want to contribute to the franchise discussion, do comment below. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be sure to hit that like button. Be safe out there. Bye for now.